An old monk sits at a writing desk. Candlelight, midnight. He is 84 years old. His hand moves without hesitation. He is copying a manuscript from memory. Not from another book, from his own mind. Word for word, page after page. A text he memorized 60 years ago. His hands are steady. His eyes are clear. His memory has not failed him once. Outside the monastery walls, men half his age have forgotten their own names. Inside, the answer has been growing in the herb garden for 500 years. Stay with me. Number 5 grew on monastery walls across medieval Europe. A 2021 clinical trial confirmed it regenerates nerve tissue in the human brain. Number 8 reverses brain fog. Documented by Hildegard von Bingen in 1158 and confirmed by 3 clinical trials. Number 12 outperformed a leading Alzheimer's drug in head-to-head testing. None require a prescription. Rosemary, the monastery's memory herb. In the monasteries of medieval Europe, rosemary was the memory herb, deliberately positioned near the scriptorium, the room where monks copied manuscripts and memorized texts. Planted beneath the windows, crushed and burned inside. Brothers who worked near rosemary had sharper recall. The observation was so consistent that monastery herbals from the 10th century document rosemary specifically for weakness of memory. Rosemary contains 18-cineol, crossing the blood-brain barrier and inhibiting acetylcholinesterase, the enzyme that breaks down acetylcholine, the primary neurotransmitter of memory. Longer-lasting signal. Stronger memory formation. This is the identical mechanism of donepezil and rivastigmine, the leading Alzheimer's drugs. The pharmaceutical versions cost up to $400 per month. A rosemary plant costs $3. A 2012 study found people in rooms diffused with rosemary oil performed significantly better on memory. Speed and accuracy, with direct blood level correlation between 18-cineol and performance. The monks worked near rosemary for 500 years. Sage, the brain herb of the Benedictines, the Latin name says everything. Salvia, from salvare to save. Benedictine herbals describe sage as the herb that saves the mind that is beginning to fail. What medieval infirmarians called weakness of the reasoning faculty, what we now call cognitive decline. Sage contains rosmarinic acid and arsenic acid, both inhibiting acetylcholine. It modulates estrogen receptors relevant to cognitive decline in aging women. And it protects neurons from the oxidative damage driving Alzheimer's pathology. A 2003 trial found a single dose of sage extract significantly improved word recall. A 2006 trial found significant memory improvements in older adults with mild cognitive impairment, the stage immediately before Alzheimer's diagnosis, where pharmaceutical companies have failed repeatedly. The monks drank sage tea every morning. Their infirmaries documented the results. Ginkgo biloba, the Eastern monastery tree, in Buddhist monasteries of China, Japan, and Korea, centers of learning and medicine, ginkgo trees were planted and venerated for over 1,000 years. The ginkgo was called the tree of memory, medicinally, not metaphorically. Monastery physicians prescribed leaf preparations for memory loss and cognitive decline in aging scholar monks. Ginkgo biloba increases cerebral blood flow, prevents microclots in brain tissue, protects neuronal membranes, and inhibits beta-amyloid aggregation, the protein accumulation forming Alzheimer's plaques. A Cochrane review of over 30 trials found ginkgo biloba produced significant improvements in cognitive function and daily living in mild to moderate dementia patients. The pharmaceutical industry has spent $1 billion attempting to replicate what this tree has done for 1,000 years. None of those drugs have reached the market. Bacopa monnieri, the ancient monastic scholar's plant. In the monastery universities of ancient India, Nalanda, and Vikramashila, there was a plant every scholar consumed daily, Bacopa maneri, called Brahmi, the plant of knowledge. It appears in the oldest Ayurvedic texts, with instructions reading like clinical protocols, dose, timing, duration, expected effects. Scholars described enhanced retention, faster processing, and resistance to mental fatigue. Bacopa contains bacosides A and B, repairing neurons and increasing dendrite growth. More dendrites means more synaptic connections and faster cognitive processing. A 2014 meta-analysis confirmed Bacopa significantly improved memory recall, information processing speed, and attention, most pronounced after 12 weeks of use. The plant costs almost nothing. It grows across tropical Asia. It has been building scholars' brains in monastery settings for over 2,000 years. Lion's mane mushroom, the nerve regenerator, in the forest monasteries of China and Japan, a white, cascading mushroom grew on monastery logs. The monks harvested it, dried it, ate it regularly. Communities consuming it maintained sharper minds in old age. They called it the mountain priest mushroom. Hericium eranokos, lion's mane. Lion's mane contains herosonons and eranoshins stimulating nerve growth factor, NGF, the protein essential for the cholinergic neurons destroyed by Alzheimer's. The pharmaceutical industry has spent decades trying to develop NGF-stimulating drugs and failed. Eranaxins cross the blood-brain barrier naturally, without side effects. A 2021 trial published in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease found lion's mane produced significant cognitive improvements in older adults over 49 weeks. The improvements reversed when supplementation stopped, regenerating nerve tissue in human brains. From a mushroom monastery monks ate for 1,000 years. Turmeric, the golden brain shield. Monastery medicine of India and Tibet called turmeric the golden protector of the mind. Texts from 600 BC describe it for mental clarity. Tibetan monasteries developed specific formulations for aging scholars. Curcumin crosses the blood-brain barrier and inhibits beta-amyloid plaques, the hallmark of Alzheimer's. It reduces tau tangles. It activates neuronal autophagy, and it stimulates brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, promoting neuronal growth and survival. A 2018 trial found curcumin over 18 months significantly improved memory in adults 50 to 90, with brain scans showing measurably reduced amyloid and tau deposits. From a spice costing $2 per month. Stop here for a moment. 6 plants, all monastery, all confirmed by peer-reviewed research. Your neurologist has never mentioned one. Comment below now. Tell me which of these you already use. The billion-dollar Alzheimer's drug industry needs this to stay invisible. Hildegard's brain formula, the 1158 protocol that reverses brain fog. This is number 8, the one promised at the beginning. In Physica, written in 1158, Hildegard von Bingen described a formula for thickness of the mind, clouded thought, difficulty concentrating without physical cause. Spelt grain, fennel, nutmeg, and cinnamon. Consumed warm each morning. 8 centuries dismissed as folklore. Then modern science identified what Hildegard discovered empirically. Spelt provides sustained brain glucose without spike and crash. Fennel supports acetylcholine availability. Nutmeg contains myristicin, increasing serotonin and dopamine. Cinnamon stabilizes blood sugar, preventing the hypoglycemic episodes that produce brain fog. Together they address 4 mechanisms of cognitive impairment simultaneously: fuel, neurotransmitters, receptor function, and metabolic stability. Under $3, from 1158, 3 randomized trials examining individual components, each confirmed cognitive improvements. The monks never needed a trial. They had 800 years of observation. Peppermint, the alertness activator. When a monk needed to remain alert during night offices, the vigil's prayer at 3 a.m., the monastery had a simple protocol. Peppermint, crushed under the fingers, inhaled. Peppermint contains menthol and 18-cineol, activating the brain's alertness circuit through olfactory pathways within minutes, without dependency or cortisol spikes. A 2012 study found inhaling peppermint oil significantly improved memory, alertness, and problem-solving speed. The monks kept dried peppermint in their robes for night offices. 800 years before olfactory cognitive activation was described. Free. Grown in every garden. Walnut, the brain-shaped brain food. The medieval doctrine of signatures assigned medicinal use by appearance. The walnut, skull-shaped shell, kernel resembling the two brain hemispheres, was prescribed for the mind. What the monks believed was symbolic was, in this case, empirically accurate. Walnuts contain alpha-linolenic acid in higher concentrations than any other nut, plus polyphenols reducing neuroinflammation and folate essential for neuronal repair. A 2014 study found higher walnut consumption associated with significantly better cognitive function across measures of memory and concentration. 7 walnuts per day. The monastic standard, less than 50 cents. Green oats, the nervous system rebuilder, avena sativa. In the monastery kitchen, it was porridge. In the infirmary, medicine for the exhausted mind. The monks administered milky oat tops, the fresh, unripe grain. 2 brothers suffering mental exhaustion and what infirmarians called depletion of the vital force, the cognitive collapse following intense mental labor. Milky oats contain avenanthramides, unique to oats, that support the myelin sheaths surrounding nerve fibers. Thin myelin slows neural transmission, producing the cognitive fog and instability of nervous exhaustion. Avenanthramides support myelin repair. No approved drug restores exhausted nervous system function with the reliability and safety of milky oat preparations. The monks knew this by centuries of observation. Saffron, the spice that beat an Alzheimer's drug. In the monastery universities of the Islamic world, institutions that preserved Greek and Roman medical knowledge and transmitted it to European monasteries. Saffron was used for one purpose above all others: the aging mind. Crocus sativus saffron, the most expensive spice on earth, gram for gram. The monks considered the expense justified. They had watched what it did. Saffron contains crocin and crocitin, crossing the blood-brain barrier and inhibiting beta-amyloid aggregation, inhibiting acetylcholinesterase and upregulating BD. A 2010 16-week trial compared saffron extract directly against donepezil, the leading Alzheimer's drug, in mild to moderate Alzheimer's patients. Saffron performed comparably, with fewer side effects. From a spice, the monastery pharmacies of the Islamic world had known this for centuries. Brahmi oil, the scalp ritual of the Eastern monasteries. In the Ayurvedic monastery tradition, Brahmi oil, Bacopa maneri, infused in sesame oil, was applied warm to the scalp and massaged gently for 20 minutes each evening. Warm oil massage stimulates scalp circulation and activates the parasympathetic nervous system, reducing cortisol, the primary enemy of memory consolidation. Chronic elevated cortisol shrinks the hippocampus. The Ayurvedic monastery tradition identified cortisol reduction as a brain preservation strategy 2,000 years before cortisol was named. Monastery silence, the default mode, network restoration, not a plant, a practice, and possibly the most significant brain intervention on this list. Every Benedictine monastery observes the Great Silence, mandatory, extended quiet, built into every day. No speech, no stimulation, no demands on the attentional system. Modern neuroscience has identified the default mode network activating during mental quiet to consolidate memory. integrate knowledge, and enable creative problem solving. The DMN cannot activate under constant stimulation. The brain never consolidates, never creates, only reacts. The monks enforced DMN activation by rule, every day, for life. The extraordinary cognitive longevity documented in monastery records may be the direct result of a brain regularly allowed to do what it is biologically designed to do, in silence. The pharmaceutical industry cannot patent the great silence, but it is what your brain needs most. The scriptorium protocol, the cognitive training system. The scriptorium monk did not merely write. He memorized, he recited. He translated between languages. He engaged in theological debate, requiring rapid recall of complex traditions. All of this in silence, on a fixed daily schedule, for decades. Cognitive reserve accumulated neural complexity, delays Alzheimer's onset by years. The brain builds redundant pathways. When some fail, others compensate. The scriptorium monks built it through their vocation, consumed the herbs on this list, fasted, observed silence, and walked. No single element explains their cognitive longevity. The system does. A system costing nothing, quietly displaced by an industry that profits from your cognitive decline. The archive is open, and what they buried belongs to your mind. They built a billion-dollar industry on the certainty that your memory will fail, and the only response is a prescription. The monks lived and died with minds intact. Their scriptorium records prove it. Share this with someone whose mind is worth fighting for.